You're in good company today.
Hello.
With us at Sharp & Co. I'm Bevan, generally the host, and that is none other than Pippa Lynch.
Hi everybody.
Okay, so on the cards today, Pippa Lynch, we are talking about
We are talking about vanity metrics on social media.
vanity metrics.
Yes, it is something that we have seen time and time again. Clients, new and old, and also even non-clients, people that we see on social media getting very worked up about the likes and engagement that they're getting or not getting on social media. And I suppose I just wanted to talk about that today and just set everybody's mind at ease, to give everyone a little bit of an overview of why you should not give a toot about how many likes your posts are getting and how much engagement your posts are getting from a numbers perspective. Now I just want to put a disclaimer on this. I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about the likes and the engagement and to such an extent that you don't mind putting out crap content. What this is about is focusing so much on these metrics that you're blinded by the ultimate role that social media is supposed to play.
So let me ask a question. And just while we're talking, you might hear some knocking and stuff. There are a couple of people in the neighborhood just doing some rad renovations. So if you don't mind, please just bear with us. So coming back to Pippa's comments. It's more around the focus. So we have people who engage us from time to time, and they ask the question, but why aren't we increasing in the like numbers, likes, we're getting more likes,
We're getting a lot of
comments, engagement, and we find through those conversations, we begin asking ourselves the question of, well, why are you in business? Are you in business to get likes? Or are you in business to make money?
Yes,
And
so I want to sum up my
Yeah.
view on vanity metrics like likes and engagement numbers. Is 50 likes on a post does not mean 50 sales.
Yeah, or $50.
Right?
Yeah.
It does not have any bearing on your bottom line. If you think about the big empires that were started, built, and dominated the world basically as we know it, they did all of that pre-likes and engagement and comments and social media and Instagram and Facebook. Now suddenly what's happened is that people feel that that's how you make business and that's how you do business is in the number of likes and comments that you get on a social media post. And my thing is, if they were able, all of these big empires, these capitalist empires, whether they're good or bad, they don't exist because of the number of likes and comments they got. They exist because they did good business and they ran a tight ship. And so my thing is, likes and comments are such a modern, such a current, contemporary thing, but we have been doing business as humans for millennia. And so we need to go back to how that business was taking place and focus on your bottom line. You might be getting crickets, like we've got outside right now. You might be getting crickets on your posts, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not getting sales. Or you might be getting tons of likes, tons of engagement, but that might not be translating into dollars, which is ultimately where business is happening. Business is happening at the bottom line. And so I just wanted to put something out there to let people know that your likes and your engagement is not where your business is happening. Your business is happening in how you approach your customers, how you network, how you build your business, how you take care of your customers, how you create an amazing product, and how you provide an amazing service. That is where your business is happening.
So before we put ourselves out of business, because we're in the business of content creation and supporting businesses, particularly small businesses, to make sure they have a voice online. So given the fact that we are saying likes aren't the be-all and the end-all, how do you see content fitting into the marketing?
Well, that's why I put a disclaimer on that to say it's not an excuse if you shun your likes and your comments, and I'm just trying to relieve you of the stress and the anxiety of having to look at those numbers all the time. and worry about, are they going in the right direction, all that kind of thing. I just want to relieve you of all of that with the disclaimer that I said at the beginning. This is not an excuse to put out crap content, because content is ultimately how you engage with your clients and your customers and your shoppers on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
It's really a tool for you to stay relevant, to stay top of mind, to maintain a share of wallet, and basically to create a rapport. And as we said in a previous podcast, is to create or to develop
equity.
to develop and build that equity that you can then exchange for dollars at another later point down the line. So I am saying, don't worry about the likes and the comments, but worry about the content that you're putting out there, because the content is ultimately what's going to help you build that rapport and build that equity. What I feel about Instagram and Facebook is that you're basically renting space. You're basically renting a billboard or a spot on TV. It is not media that you own. You are at the mercy of an algorithm that you don't have access to, insight to.
That's a great analogy.
You know?
So, sorry, you say great things from time to time. It takes me a while for the penny to drop. So,
yeah.
Can you say that again?
It's all rented space.
Rented space.
Social media
that
is rented
so
space.
Cool. Yeah.
And so what you want to do is you want to use Instagram and Facebook as basically a moving
Billboard.
As sort of like a secondary website, right? It's like a landing page. When how business happens now is that people will see something, they'll hear about your business, they'll see something about your business, they'll see a product that you make, they'll see a service that you make, and then they will go straight to social media to find out more about you. And they'll invariably go to Instagram if you've got it, just to get a real good overview, holistic view of your business and what you're doing. And then they'll go to Facebook and they'll look at your reviews and they'll look at how you're commenting.
And this is all in the absence of likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
got nothing,
so that's
but
what
you
you're
can see,
saying.
like
So,
we've had that whole discussion, and it's been nothing about, they'll go to your Instagram and say, oh well, they've only got 50 followers, they've only got 10 likes on each post. That must mean that their business is dying. It's got nothing to do with that.
So let me come at it from a different angle. So being devil's advocate here. So we are saying that likes ought not to have or not carry the weight that they do in the mind of the startup business owner.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I'm in the business of flipping businesses. Okay. And so I'm putting together the memorandum of information, and I've got a rad product. I've got a good supply chain. I might have people on the ground. But I also have a social media presence, and so to help elevate the price of my business and sale, would I not also include the fact that I have, say, 50,000 followers? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a danger with that though, because 50,000 followers could all be bought. 50,000 followers doesn't necessarily equate to 50,000 engaged customers.
But it makes it look good. So for the buyer,
sure,
they're looking at on face value. So,
but then I would argue that the person who is paying attention to that as the buyer, if the buyer was saying, I want to know how many followers you've got,
they're asking the wrong question.
I would say that they're asking the wrong question. They need to be saying, do you have a supply chain in place that is durable, that is sustainable, that is effective and efficient, and do I have line of sight of that? Am I putting my business in the hands of suppliers that I don't know about their ethics, that I don't know how they operate? There's a whole bunch of other questions that are so much more important than to be worrying about how many likes your prospective business is getting on a post.
So how do you think we got to this point? I mean, if we can just get philosophical for a second.
I think it's, at a very basic level, I think it's the endorphins that you get with that kick of adrenaline that you get when you see notifications come up on your phone that someone has liked an image that you put up.
So how can we replace one addiction for another?
I think you should be addicted to putting out great content. I think you should be addicted to researching, figuring out what's working, what's not working, what drives your clients to contact you, instead of worrying about, oh, I've only got 10 likes on this, and then agonizing over an algorithm that you have no control over, and also that you shouldn't have energy to worry about, because you should be putting all of your energy into growing your business. That's ultimately
So we're talking about media that we don't own. So let's call it media that we rent.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your mind, and I guess we've been coached in the society to say that you should always sort of try to buy your own home.
Yeah.
Roadkier cycling thinks differently, but that's another story. So we're talking about rented media space. Let's talk about media space that we own. What are your thoughts?
So my thought is that rented space should really just be that. You treat it as a place where people can go and snoop, find out more about you, see how you interact. But what you really want to be doing is creating a conversation with your audience that takes place on a space that you own. Your newsletters, for example.
Okay, newsletters.
The content that you're putting on your website, for example. How you talk to your customers when you're on the phone with them. How you talk to your customers when you're emailing them. All of those different touch points are where you really are going to build that rapport and where you're really going to own the space. Because no one can really dictate unless it goes against their terms and conditions and policies of use and that kind of thing, which is probably there for a good reason. No one can stop you from doing that stuff unless you don't pay your bills, your website, renewals and all that kind of stuff. But it's about not worrying so much about the spaces that you rent. And it comes back to that house example. If you're renting a house, are you really going to spend thousands of dollars and many man hours putting up a garden that you could be chucked out of a month later because your landlord wants to move back in? Or are you going to wait until you've bought your own home and really put in the hard yards to make it look great? Because it's your space, and unless something goes wrong with the bank, it's not going to be taken away from you, and it's going to give you those returns.
So I feel like people are still going to like the likes.
Yeah.
Okay. So despite the fact that we're talking about rented space versus owned space, etc., so which are big, meaty topics to discuss. What is the, how do you say, the short circuit for when someone gets focused on, say, the likes? What can trip that switch to make them feel like, okay, actually it's not the thing that I need to focus on?
Well, they could literally do a data dump. How many likes has one post gotten them, and how many sales have those likes translated into? And then you could also do how many likes did that post get versus how many sales did you get. People are so lazy. Double tapping on an image now is too hard basket. And so you're not going to get the likes, you're not going to get the comments. You could do anything you wanted, but you might not get that because the algorithm is not in your favor. People just don't feel like responding. It could be a whole manner of things. And just because they're not double tapping on it doesn't mean that they're not liking your content.
So then the question becomes, what is then the true value of a like?
I don't think it has much, other than to make you feel good or to make you feel bad, depending on
where you find yourself
your number,
in the spectrum.
that number, yeah. I honestly do not see it adding any value. You're not going to go to your accountant. If you've got an accountant, they're not going to say to you, okay, how many likes did you get?
Can we put it on
They
the
don't care
P&L?
because it's not what is going to, your 50 likes is not going to keep your electricity on. 20 likes is not going to keep your water running. 100 likes is not going to pay your mortgage. Your sales will. Go back to business. Go back to the way business has always been run. Because you're building an empire. Go back to the way that has been tried and tested, and that is providing great service, providing an excellent product, providing a great post-purchase service, being visible, and that's how business has been built. And so I urge people to go back to that, but without putting us out of business. Social media is still so important to provide a place where your customers can go and check you out, where they can go and see what you're all about, and where they can interact with you on their own time. And whether or not they like it has nothing to do with their consumption of your content. But if you want to stand out from your audience, if you want to stand out from the crowd and really create that rapport, you want to go back to creating great content that they just cannot do without. So that for me is...
I feel like that last soliloquy or monologue that you had there will be part of the excerpt that we share.
Okay.
100%.
Yep.
I had a question, I completely forgot it now.
To be honest, I don't even know how many likes and how much engagement we get on our posts that we put out on social media, because to me that doesn't matter. To me what matters is that am I giving my current clients a great experience, and am I giving them exactly what they've asked for in their brief and more. But it's also to, it's also just to keep in touch with people who are thinking about signing up with us, people who have signed up for us and want to see what else we can offer them. That's how I'm using my social media, and that's how I'm using our social media, to just keep people in the know and leave it up to them to get in touch with us.
So really what you're saying is social media should be treated as an amplification tool for the culture of how you do business and what you make, so that others can snoop around and learn more, and hopefully buy whatever sales funnel or lead magnets or you have at play.
I just want to say, stop worrying about your likes, stop worrying about your comments. You're putting your efforts and your energies and your anxieties in the wrong place, and start focusing on your bottom line.
This is Dr. Pippa Lynch right here, guys.
Yes,
Guru.
I'm here to fix your
emotional connection with social media likes.
And I promise you it's going to change the way you approach your social media. Because you're not going to be chasing the likes. You're not going to be saying, I need to get this post out there because I need to get a few likes on the like runs on the board. You're going to be taking your time, because you're going to say, I want to be more restrained with the content that I'm putting out there, because I want it to be amazing. Because I want the person to get to the end of my post and think, I have to work with this person.
Okay, so that's all brilliant. I mean, obviously I buy into what you're saying because I work with you, and I hope the listener and the viewer out there does too. So likes is one metric, a vanity metric.
Yes.
Another metric that sits closely alongside it is, guess what? The follower number.
Yep.
Let's touch on that for a moment.
Yes. My thing, when a client comes to us and says, I want to run an influencer campaign, I don't even suggest any of the big guys, the ones who've got 160,000 followers, 2 million followers. You aren't going to see that on the list of influencers that I propose to you. What you're going to see on that list is a list of micro-influencers who have a much smaller following, but a much more engaged following, i.e.
I call them niche.
Niche
influencers.
So that is to say, my big spiel here on this is to say that, again, I don't care about the follower number. I care about the bottom line. And if people who have got a much smaller following are doing a much better job with their social media and keeping their audience entertained and keeping their audience in the know and giving them information that is value adding as opposed to just noise, those are who you're going to see on my list that I give to you as a proposal for your influencer campaign.
So for the influencer, or the wannabe influencer, or wannabe celebrity endorser out there, what do you think they should be focusing on? Because you're going to have these PR companies that are going to be doing campaigns for the bigger companies out there. I feel like all they're interested in is follow a number.
Yeah.
So how can someone who has a really engaged following at, say, 1,500 followers, is putting out great content and is nurturing his or her community, but is getting a bit down on the fact that they're not ratcheting up the following number, what would you say to them?
Don't even worry about it. But if you can put out great content that drives people to buy the product that you're talking about, or you're endorsing or sponsoring, and you can show that there's a direct correlation between your posting and the content that you're putting out about a brand and their sales, that is ultimately what companies are going to look for and say, well, you can actually get runs on the board if we hand our product over to you. So if you're putting out great content and you are not sending people towards a product that you don't believe in, towards a product that you don't know works because you've never actually tried it, that you personally wouldn't put money down to buy if you had to, don't even bother, because you're just creating noise. But if there is a brand that comes to you and says, like we were approached earlier this week about by a company, I think in the States, asking us if they could send us product for us to endorse, and it is not product that I will wear. I could put it on a model, but then I'm doing that for someone else. I would be doing that, but it's not something that I would wear, and so I haven't taken it up because I'm not going to get paid to endorse a product that I don't believe in. So if you can show a track record of only endorsing products that you have tried, that you would pay for, and that you trust implicitly and align with your values, then I would say that is your starting point. And then you create great content around that is value adding rather than value destroying.
Because I must say, on the value destroying thing, right, so if I'm following someone, say on my personal Instagram, I can smell a staged influencer post that is inauthentic.
I just want to say, no one smiles at their kids who have just made a mess in the lounge and then pulls out a vacuum cleaner and smiles at their kids
whilst cleaning it up.
No, it doesn't happen. I can see just from your image that it is
it's staged, it's
staged.
Not real, it's bullshit.
But what someone would want to know is, you want to buy this vacuum cleaner because it is amazing at sucking up this and this and this.
And you have proof.
And it goes for 25 minutes without me having to charge it. And it goes for 25 minutes without me having to plug in and lug a whole thing around. You want to talk up the product benefits that have saved you time and time again. Because it's a product that you endorse and it's a product that you would buy you would buy with your good hard-earned cash.
But also, I think just on that note, like I feel like as consumers, so we've spoken about the influencer piece and whatnot and follow accounts and likes and stuff. As a consumer of this media, I think our bullshit factor, or our bullshit meter, has become very attuned. So we've been bombarded with messaging as humans from advertisers for a long time, and it's ratcheted up that we've been bombarded with messages. I don't know what the stat is, like it's a lot. And I think now all of us can tell when something is fake and when something is overproduced.
And there are also brands that you expect, like this post I know is going to be a sponsored post.
Yeah.
Because they will take on anything as long as they're getting paid to do it.
Totally.
And I feel like that destroys their credibility, right? Because people know that. But then I also want to put a disclaimer on this to say influencers play a vital role.
They do.
They do, because they're the new. They have a great reach. They have they do play a part as part of a digital or marketing strategy. And so I don't want to say that don't use influencers, and I don't want to say they're bad people.
No, we're not saying that. We're saying how it's used. It's the how. It's not the what.
Our point is really, if you want to be an influencer, make sure that you are putting out great content. Make sure that the content that you're putting out there stays true to your values, but also true to the values of the demographic and the target audience that you are trying to develop.
And another disclaimer is, I think because we are so close to this media form and have been for, since uni and Unilever days, we are far more critical of media that comes out.
Because we just want people to put out great content. That's all it comes down to is put out great content, and the rest will fall into place. Be consistent about your content, and the rest will fall into place. But if you get hung up on the number of followers, on the number of likes, on the number of comments that you're getting on a post, you're misplacing all of that effort that you could be placing into worrying about
doing business.
Yes, am I doing enough to keep my current client base? Am I doing enough to get new clients? Am I staying relevant in my industry? And social media is a great way to show that you are doing all of those things. without having to worry about paying it.
It's the amplification of the things that you already do for your business, and that's really the filter through which you should see.
And all we're really trying to do
social
is
media.
just help you move away from the anxieties that your likes and comments and followers numbers are likely to give you.
Because the pain point I find for any business owner isn't in the likes and the followers, it's actually in making the content, which is why we exist. So, when you're doing businesses late at night and say you're making leather handbags or whatever, I guarantee you the last thing you're gonna want to think about is, now I've got to take a picture and write some pithy copy content. And so that is the pain point. It's the content. So focus on the content, and the likes and the followers and the community and stuff will follow. Because really, what you need to be focusing on in the case of leather handbags is making kick-ass, great leather handbags, whether it's real or vegan or whatever floats your boat. Is there anything else? Because I think, we could go further down the rabbit hole here, but I feel like keeping it quite tight on the likes and the followers is probably a good place to leave it. So if you want to learn more, you get in touch with Dr. Phil, Dr. Philippa, from Shout & Co. to rid your anxiety of having hang-ups on likes and followers. Or you can just get in touch with me, bevan@shoutandco.com, if you have any questions or you want to learn more about what we do. I'll also say here it's www.shoutandco.com. You can catch this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as SoundCloud, and on my website, and also on IGTV as well as YouTube, and I think I may get it up on Google Podcasts as well. So lots of places to consume, but most importantly, this is not our core business. Our core business is doing kick-ass content, so we're not going to worry about whether you subscribe or not, so I'm not going to ask you to, but if you do like it, give it a like.
But we don't care about it.
But we don't care about the likes, so...
No, but we care about you. We don't care about the likes, we care about you. And we want your business to be amazing. So that is why we are doing this. So
I heart you. Okay, that's it. Signing off. This is us at Shout & Co.
Weekend.
Love you long time.